good evening, everyone who might be tuning in live. We are Scott and Rita. I'm Scott.
Hi, I'm Rita.
She's Rita over there. And we are on the Cosmic Fixer channel. So we're talking about, again, what it means to serve. Rita's book, A Channel Text for Coaches and Healers by Rita Doyle Roberts. And tonight we are going on and talking about chapter 2, which is What Service Is Not, is the title. So
yes.
Yeah,
and that's an important thing to distinguish, because I think a lot of people feel they're serving, but maybe the motivation is a little off, and things we've had to go through as well. So this book has helped with that.
Yeah. So maybe before, will you read something from this, Rita? Maybe before you do that, we'll do the same thing we did last week with just kind of taking a few deep breaths and getting centered, just to kind of get the mood ready.
Definitely.
We joked beforehand, it's like the lollipop before the hard nude kind of thing. Anyways, hopefully it's not that bad. So just take a little bit of a break, a few deep breaths, just some calm. As we're breathing, if you're here on the chat, just let us know, say hi. If you're live and watching. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just let you take it away for a little while, Rita.
Okay.
And read whatever you'd like.
This is right at the beginning, and as Scott said, the chapter is called What Service Is Not. And at the beginning of each chapter, there's a little line that kind of highlights one point within the chapter. And this one is this point. Service does not have to be a quiet act, but it often is. You might find it strange that a book meant for healers and coaches starts off with addressing secrets of the reader, which was chapter 1, and last week we discussed that. Starts off with secrets of the reader, therefore secrets of the coach or healer. Here's the secret you must all embrace. I am feeding off the suffering of others and their desire to be cared for, and I like it that way. It is a well-constructed, highly admired pedestal for me to stand on, so no one can ever see my secrets. And then we are advised to feel again about that particular statement. So I would like to discuss that, just that little bit, Scott.
Yeah, it's how does it feel when you? Well, we can speak from our experience. How did it feel when this kind of came through you, and that you were feeding off the suffering of others and their desire to be cared for, and you like it that way?
Well, that's one reason that I didn't want to channel this book. That's one reason I never wanted to be a coach. That's the one reason I never wanted to switch over into doing soul circles, because I didn't know how to navigate that. So I hadn't articulated it so perfectly as our audience did, but I felt that how do you tell people, like, see, you are hurting, and if you pay me, I'll help you. That always felt weird to me. So I had to make sure that I wasn't making this up as a judgment of coaches and people who call themselves healers.
I have to tell you that this was you channeled this book really right at this right time that I was witnessing it when you were channeling it, of course, and it was about that time when I was really getting out of the whole idea of coaching. So when this came about, actually it's 9/12/2018, so it's been a year this week
Right.
that you wrote this chapter.
Mm-hmm.
So that was when I was really transitioning away from it, and we'd actually done some cosmic dialogues beforehand about it. That I was really transitioning out of that idea of coaching and decided to just sort of, if I was going to do anything similar to it, it would be more of like a spiritual director, where it was more of a walking alongside someone and just witnessing and allowing kind of a third hand to do the work, and just witnessing and having a really good soul friend relationship, rather than this coach and the person being coached kind of separate level. So because I mean, we all have like secrets and things we need to go through, and I'm not trying to bash every coach out there, but it's there's a little bit of predation that can be easily be put in to the whole coaching relationship of like you said, pay me money and I will solve this problem for you.
Well, one of the reasons that I had an inkling of this statement was experience with therapists. It's like, no, we will not talk about anything about me. And I had an experience once of someone saying, so let's just take a breath and just say what comes up. And so what came up was for me to ask her, what are you afraid of? Because we were at this level where I was feeling a lot of things had been addressed. So now let's take it to somewhere positive. And that was the question that just came up, not even from me. I wasn't thinking about it beforehand. It came from possibly her guides. And the wall got, so now you're going to therapize me, are you? And so it's highly controlled, those situations.
Yeah, it also puts people in like this idea of like an expertise, this expert that we can go see to give us guidance, so that we don't like yesterday, like the last time we talked about, like we go to experts and guides so that we don't have to have our own self responsibility to feel the love from God or the universe on us, and that actually we actually have those things. We can actually handle our situations. You know, it's like now my best therapist is my dreams.
Yeah.
It's not about me going to an expert to tell me the best solution. I may go to another person who will walk beside me for a time as an equal, as a learner, as someone who's curious as well, and then we can actually co-create something together, but not necessarily just as a, you pay me, then I'll make all your problems go away, or pay me for the rest of your life so that we'll dive into every bit of your story.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
And
there's a little bit of paradox because I do ask for money for the soul circles and to speak with another person's soul to show them things that they don't are not conscious of, and yeah, I mean, we understand the irony that we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
that like the work we've put in requires it be valued, and that we value ourselves. So, but we are coming from this place of making sure we're not making our, like, I am not the expert on anyone else. Their soul has all the information that they could need.
Right.
At least all the questions that they could ask God and the universe and their day-to-day life to pay attention to receive the answers.
I sometimes think that the difference is more of, I'm getting an echo, so I don't know if it's you or if it's me. It doesn't matter. The difference is that there's a difference between like someone who is actually coming to fix you or to whatever, or somebody who is actually just kind of like midwifing a process, or mid-husbanding, mid-wifing. I wish there was a gender-neutral term for that. Like midwifing a process for you and a third hand to come through. And so you create a soul circle, or you create a forecast for someone. And this is just a kind of a gentle midwifery into a process for someone, rather than a process of you are broken, I am not. Because the reality is that we're all broken people.
Yeah, I can laugh at that one.
Yeah, we're all broken. But it's through your process of like just this inspired, channeled, images given to you that you share, without expectation as far as like what they're going to do. And so it's a midwifing of a process for someone else. My soul circle has given me countless lessons that you, Rita, as a person, did not have to, come in and intercede and provide, 6 coaching sessions for $600 for. It
Scott, I feel you resisting.
Yeah. And
you're maybe getting a little ahead of yourself, Scott.
There are definitely like little trigger sentences and phrases that coaches can give us that can show us a little bit of their judgment of our situation, where they start putting themselves in a little pedestal of like, like that, like you just said, I was like, I'm sensing some resistance. We need a session, or, and it's, and you're not telling me anything I don't know. Of course I have resistance. It's so, and it's the same thing with like, if I recently just did some dream work for someone just out of my heart, because I knew of a situation, and I said, would you like me to do a dream for you and your father? Can you send me a photo of your father's house? And so I just did that freely, and I just said, here's what I came up with in the dream. And then we just talked about it, and I said, I don't know if this is resonance for you, but here's information about a song on the radio that I heard, and the house, and your mother's diamond ring that your father was holding, and those were just things that started unlocking a few things. It's almost as if like that intuitive process was the coach rather than me. So like your circles and your intuitive process are the guides, not you and all of your masks, or you and your desire to be fed, or you and your desire to
make money
and stay in your comfortable status.
Be seen, get attention, be validated, get approval, be liked, all of those things.
Yeah. Have an office with all of your certificates all around the room. Go to conferences and speak and become well known as the certifier of the soul circles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's this very different thing. And yeah, we do have to watch out because, we're in a different realm than a lot of other folks out there. And there's, I'm on the fence whether I should say there's nothing wrong with coaching as it is, but I think your book says otherwise, coaching as an industry.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little bit of a wisdom of like stepping down from that.
Yes. That's really all it is. Just step down from the pedestal, step down from the getting, the achievement of it. It's strange because there's a real self-acknowledgement, self-confidence, knowing when you can affect yourself and the world around you. And that's not being on a pedestal, because you have that self source of wellness. It's not based on how many followers you have and how many clients you have booked this week and any of that. How many people are coming to your seminar?
How many books you've published? How many professional organizations you've joined?
It's also about what have you been called to do, instead of I really want this.
There's a whole new topic there.
Yeah.
Finding what your calling is.
Mm-hmm. There's no pedestal when you're on your calling path. I don't even have the words to say it.
Yeah. And oftentimes those things don't match up what we really, really want in life through our achievement system mind and what our calling and our gifts are.
I just had a memory flash of I was at the babysitter when I was about 5, and there was this little girl standing on a table. I'm really bright right now. There's this little girl standing on a table, and I thought she was just really obnoxiously showing off. And so I kind of just pushed her off, which was not nice.
Wow.
Yeah, that's like the most violent thing I've ever done. But that was sort of, yeah, I don't know. That just came right into my mind. Here's what it was, is if you decide to follow your calling, but then you get, really kind of full of yourself and get up on that pedestal or let people put you up there, the universe is just going to come and just push you off, and you will be crying when you land.
I think this book is a little bit of a pushing off the table. in and of
Yeah.
itself. So if people read it and feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that goes back to last week when we said God and the universe are only interested in like separating you from everything that's what is that? Getting rid of everything that separates you from your true soul.
Mm-hmm. Dismantling it.
Dismantling it. Maybe that's being pushed off your pedestal, or a storm coming through in your life to provide a lesson or correction. I don't know. It
Mm-hmm.
could be as easy as like being nudged off, pushed off, and you can just gently step down off the table and say, I learned that lesson, and I could just gently do that. Or, or you can resist it, and then you feel like it's a storm that a full gust gale wind came and threw you off your table.
Yeah. Right.
So, I do think we have a choice in how we navigate those
Mm-hmm.
times. So, what happened to the little girl that you pushed off the table?
Oh, she cried, and I was sat in the corner, and then I was terrified the entire rest of the afternoon of how my dad was going to punish me. And I was so distraught that the punishment didn't happen because I was already doing it to myself, much to my sister's chagrin.
So that is very interesting. So it's just the small act of just nudging or pushing someone off the table, and then we punish ourselves for blocking someone else's crazy show-off achievement thing. I think for both of us too, we kind of like sort of sat in the corner wondering, who's going to come and punish us or judge us. Did you feel that too with the book?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I didn't want to do this. And I was thinking about that too while you were talking. It's just that getting certified as a healer, that's bizarre to me. That's like a divine what's the word? If you think of an appropriate word, a divine
well, there's a meritocracy kind of.
Yeah. To be a healer is a divine station.
Right.
Yeah. That no human can decide that you are. And there's still a paradox in that.
Yeah, at the same time, we all are.
Yeah, right.
And so
if I want to recognize that I'm a healer, there's a whole bunch of stuff that has to go on for that to be a pure situation.
Yeah.
And there's no pedestal to climb up on there.
It's kind of like when our grandmothers and great grandmothers would have books of healing remedies and ailments, and they would pass on those books to their daughters and sons, and so they had all this secret wisdom that they just did as a survival thing because times were different, and they grew plants and they grew medicines and they used them. And so today we would call them certified herbalists rather than
Grandma.
And there's a book that I read one time too that really said that we all can claim the word herbalist. It requires only a relationship with plants and our own healing and our own honesty with that relationship to that world, to the other realm. And that was really kind of freeing for me, because I've spent a lot of money on certifications and degrees. It's crazy. Even my last degree that I spent money on was about talking about how to dismantle the whole system of degrees and certifications. So there's a paradox.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, where am I going with that? It's those, sometimes certifications and degrees are they're disguises. They can be used as disguises to get us somewhere else, to put us in a room, perhaps. If I don't have this certain degree, then I'm not allowed into this room with other scholars. Some people I've known who only use them as that. This is my disguise so that I can actually be there, so that I can affect things. Some people use them as disguises so that other people never get to see their issues. They never get to see where they are flawed, or
But the point is really so that they never have to look at it themselves.
Yeah. So here I am, talking about masks and taking off masks, and advocating this paradoxically that using degrees and certifications as a disguise to get into the room to actually affect change. So, and I'll admit, I that's probably what I will use my master's degree for someday.
Mm-hmm.
If I haven't been using it already, just to kind of get in the room.
Mm-hmm.
It's an expensive way to make change, however.
Yeah.
Just to get in the room, to be a resonant change maker, and it just shows us the way our world works today. It's crazy. So
I'm just feeling really uncomfortable right now.
well, that's good.
Yeah, I don't know. I just love that somebody highlighted this thing that goes on. But we're discussing it, and I feel that we're discussing it from a place of attempting to understand it more, not in a way of saying that we know.
Yeah. I do think that things are changing a bit, and that people will begin to recognize that, especially if people want to go and experiment more into love and truth and the things that we're talking about, and there are lots of opportunities to be knocked off your pedestal, and that this is kind of the energy of the day
Mm-hmm.
now. Is even if you call yourself a psychic, or you call yourself an herbalist or a healer, or a channel, I mean, all of us are going to be knocked off our rockers,
Yeah.
no matter what.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a nice divine challenge, and a nice divine opportunity for learning, for correction, or just for us to realize that, I don't know, just for me, it just sounds like it's an opportunity to just work on ourselves more.
Yeah, definitely.
Change ourselves first.
I was just looking further to see if there was more wisdom, because I don't by any means have this book memorized, because it changes every time I read it. So this is where the epidemic of consumption is introduced in the book. which at some point they call it the black hole of consumption. So, yeah, they advise the reader to feel whatever they felt. I wish I wasn't so. I hope I don't look as bright as I do on my screen. It's kind of blinding. We feel that a constant compulsion to consume or a continuous demand to be fed is part of that secret that we exposed above. Here's the irony. Rita consciously feels completely starving and malnourished on a deep spiritual level and knows that everyone suffers this condition. But she is right now blocking the information we are freely giving to her and to all humanity. That is one end of the broad spectrum, which is this problem of not knowing how to serve or be served. And that's so interesting because I haven't read this chapter for a while, but that point has been coming up pretty continuously. Maybe I'll just be dark now.
That's fine. That's okay.
That we are not allowing ourselves to see the gifts and the information that is there constantly, because God and the universe and our guides want to give us what we're asking for at any given moment, regardless of if you have a coach to go to or not. And I don't know, does anything come up as I'm saying this?
That consumerism consumption, it's so tied into achievement and also our need to label a situation a problem to be conquered or solved. And so we often go and do these things that are so quick that we don't sort of like use those situations to actually say, well, what is my learning from this, or what can my guides or God or the universe show me in this situation? We have like this. All of it. I think in your book just shows us how much we've really turned away from God and the universe and all the love that's been given to us.
And that's what and being served is about, is accepting that love that will serve us instead of running to every possible outside source to get something when it's where we can be served right now. And what it said about me blocking is true, that I was having difficulty channeling this because it was so challenging. And that feeling of, oh my God, what are people going to say about this? I mean, nobody's going to like to hear this. But there it is.
Imagine if you had like written this chapter by chapter to a coach who wanted to revise you, or to tell you what you should write about next, or you sought someone to read this along the way for you to correct and just adjust to a market or to someone else's desire, or a desire for a publishing company to make millions of dollars off your writing.
Yeah, that would have been maddening. I mean, it was maddening already, but to have a counter voice. And that's what we do all the time. This counter voice says, no, this virus that I'm having to work through this week is not telling me anything. I need to take a pill and ignore it. Pretend it's not here so that I can continue on. Yeah, I forgot the beginning of that.
I think that like that whole, it's our anxiety and our insecurity that is almost taught to us day one from this outside world that actually creates this need for this artificial need for further validation, and that comes through like degrees, certifications, approval from a coach, or to pay for a coach or a therapist, or um, because we're so thrown into anxiety, this not feeling. It's brilliant, actually. Like we're not paid attention to enough by this world that we want approval for.
What if we're paid attention to every minute of every day? What if we are seen and loved? Wouldn't that just change everything?
And then if you knew that, and if you were like this therapist, coach, healer, and you knew that this was the real energy behind that,
Mm-hmm.
how could you even begin to try to find an angle to make your money, to feed yourself? How could you even like create a disguise or a master plan to feed yourself through twisting it around for your own gain?
Take credit for it.
Take credit for it. Yes. Yeah. Build a certification program. Be the first. Be the pioneer. It is a hard lesson to swallow. I think there's a lot to learn.
Yeah, definitely. That's the takeaway from this chapter, is that I am not qualified to discuss it. Thank you very much.
That's great. I'm not qualified to discuss my book.
Maybe I should do a soul circle about this chapter so that a qualified voice can just bring it home.
Yeah, I could have a dream, and perhaps a qualified voice would come through.
Yeah, there are the qualified voices in the words already, and just read it and feel your way through it.
Interesting. And I love how even when we have these videos, it's like we are still stumbling a little bit, learning, and we're also having to navigate this like dimmer path where there's questions and discoveries in it.
Well, wasn't this whole light issue just perfectly symbolic? Oh, yes. I'm too bright. I must turn it off.
Yeah.
It's dark. Yep. There's me.
There's the paradox. It's great. I love it. Anything else you want to add, Rita? We're almost at 40 minutes, and I know just like give people answers and maybe raise more questions. So
yeah, we stumbled through that perfectly, and that's good, I think.
Yeah. And just so everybody knows, like, we're not making, like, even though there's a book that's materialized, this is a self-published book, and it's been a labor of love. Neither one of us has profited hardly anything off of this book, and actually I don't think that's the point anymore.
No.
But if you're interested in picking it up, it's just whatitmeanstoserve.com. You can order it on Amazon too if you like, or order it directly from that website. There's a link.
And it's for people who are considering a therapist or a coach, or maybe they've been actually injured, possibly abused in some way by someone in the healing industry.
Yeah, even if you're like thinking of like what path you want to go on, if you're like think that, oh, I could be a some people have encouraged me to pursue coaching or pursue healing as a career, or to become like a helper in our society. This might be a good book, just to give lots of insight and different kinds of knowledge on,
Yeah.
what it means to open up to that totality of that love that can be put upon us.
Yes. Okay, well, I'm almost totally
Yes,
blashed off.
Rita is putting on her invisibility cloak as
Yes.
going into storage. That's an old joke from older videos.
Mm-hmm.
So this was how it happened. So,
Right.
so
All right.
that's
Thank you,
perfect.
Scott.
Thank you, Rita. Have a good night, everybody.